New York City. The Library. November 2nd, 1907. The heavy bronze doors swing shut with a sound like a prison cell closing. Inside, the room is thick with the scent of old money and fresh sweat. 50 of the wealthiest men in America are standing there. Bank presidents, trust fund managers, industrial titans. Men who control the world. But right now, they are terrified. They turn to look at the man who summoned them. John Pierpont Morgan. Morgan doesn't speak. He simply walks over to the massive double doors. He locks them. And then, in front of everyone, he drops the heavy brass key into his pocket. He turns to the room and says simply, "You are not leaving until we solve this." This wasn't a meeting. It was a hostage situation. The U.S. economy had vaporized. Panic was sweeping the streets. Banks were collapsing like dominoes. And the government powerless. Even the president was sitting in the White House, waiting for Morgan to tell him what to do. For hours, Morgan sat at a small card table, playing solitaire, completely ignoring the most powerful men in the world. He waited until they broke. He waited until they were so exhausted, so desperate, that they agreed to sign over $25 million of their own money to bail out the system. That is nearly $800 million today. At 4:45 a.m., Morgan finally stood up. He pointed to a contract. He looked at the president of the trust company and slammed his hand on the table. "Talk is cheap," he said. "Sign it." The man signed. Morgan unlocked the door. He had saved America. But in doing so, he revealed a terrifying truth. The country didn't belong to the people. It belonged to the man holding the key. But while the world hailed him as a hero, Morgan was hiding a much darker game. He was secretly building a machine that would crush the greatest inventor who ever lived. To call J.P. Morgan a businessman is an insult. He was a force of nature. Physically, he was terrifying. Over 6 feet tall, piercing eyes that people described as the lights of an oncoming train, and a nose deformed by disease, making him look like a gargoyle. But his true power was something the press called Morganization. Morgan hated competition. He viewed it as wasteful. Why have two companies fighting for profit when you could merge them into one giant monopoly and charge whatever you wanted? He did it to the railroads, controlling 1/6 of America's tracks. He did it to steel, buying out Andrew Carnegie to create the first billion-dollar company in history. $17 billion in today's money. He controlled the tracks you rode on. He controlled the steel that built your office. But he needed one final piece of the puzzle: the energy that powered your life. Enter Nikola Tesla. In 1900, Tesla was the rock star of science. He approached Morgan with a vision: a global wireless communication system called the Wardenclyffe Tower. Morgan gave him the money, about $5 million in today's value. But Morgan wasn't interested in science. He wanted a monopoly on radio news. Tesla, however, was an idealist. He worked for 3 years on Long Island, building a massive tower. But the money ran out. Desperate, Tesla finally confessed his true plan to Morgan. He wrote a letter. He explained that the tower wouldn't just send messages. It would transmit electrical power through the air, anywhere on Earth, for free. Tesla thought Morgan would be thrilled. He thought he was handing him the keys to a utopia. He was wrong. Morgan owned the copper mines. Morgan owned the wire factories. Morgan owned General Electric. If energy is wireless and free, where do you put the meter? The response was cold, swift, and brutal. Morgan didn't just say no. He ghosted him. He refused to answer the letters. When Tesla begged for a meeting, Morgan's secretary replied with one line: "Mr. Morgan cannot be seen." It wasn't just about the money. Morgan wanted to send a message. He whispered a few words to his friends on Wall Street. And suddenly, every door in New York slammed shut in Tesla's face. Tesla wasn't just bankrupt. He was excommunicated. Because J.P. Morgan realized that free energy was bad for business. So he canceled the future. While Tesla was watching his dream rust away, Morgan turned his eyes to the ocean. He bought the White Star Line, which means J.P. Morgan was the owner of the Titanic asterisk. And this leads to one of history's most chilling coincidences. For the maiden voyage in 1912, Morgan had his own private suite on the ship. A private promenade, a special cigar deck. He was in Europe. He was scheduled to get on board. But 24 hours before departure, Morgan canceled. Why? He claimed he wasn't feeling well, said he needed a spa day in France. Yet, on the very day the Titanic hit the iceberg, reporters saw Morgan in France, looking perfectly fine, smoking cigars, buying art. Was it a conspiracy? Did he sink the ship on purpose? No, that is fiction. The reality is far more frustrating. It was luck. The devil looks after his own. While 1,500 people were freezing to death in the Black Water, including immigrants who spent their life savings to ride on Morgan's ship, Morgan was sleeping warmly in a hotel bed. He lost a ship, he lost some money, but he didn't lose a minute of sleep. Finally, the U.S. government had enough. They dragged him to court, the Pujo Committee. They wanted to prove he controlled the entire economy. The lawyer asked him, "Is not commercial credit based primarily upon money or property?" Morgan leaned into the microphone and said, "No, sir, the first thing is character. The arrogance. The man who ruined Tesla, the man who monopolized the country, claiming it was all about character. But the bill always comes due." Morgan died in his sleep just a few months later. When they counted his money, he had about $80 million. John D. Rockefeller famously sneered, he wasn't even a rich man. But Rockefeller missed the point. You don't need to own the money if you control the flow. J.P. Morgan left behind a world made in his image. A world of central banks. A world wired with copper and meters. A world where profit matters more than progress. He was the man who locked the doors and told America how it was going to be. And looking around at the world today, he never really unlocked them.